Hi, guys, and welcome to the Quinn podcast. Here we give you a look through the eyes of the most successful athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and influencers on this planet. Be sure to check out all of the content at quinnpodcast.com. Enjoy the episode.
So you've been in the game for a while. I saw the sports game. I read up on your story, but maybe for the audience, what initially got you into the bodybuilding to start off with?
I mean, I never wanted to be a bodybuilder. It's a weird sport, right? Like, it's not even really a sport. It's like a pageant with steroids. You know, you get on stage, you're in these little posing trunks, and then you dance oiled up, dieted, and nearly to the point of not living anymore, to be judged by a panel of 6 to 10. It's the weirdest thing. I simply started bodybuilding to promote my business. I'm not going to lie. Like in 2005, 2004, I had a company called Aspirations. We pioneered the intra-workout category, which is for the product called Extend, which is a branched amino acid product that you were able to drink intra-workout. And our sales were slow, and we didn't have social media at the time, so I couldn't just hire an influencer to, shake her booty and sell the product. So I shook my booty and sold some product. I actually did what was called a blog at the time on the bodybuilding forums, and it wasn't really the category. We were able to grow sales traditionally, but did it help? I would say so. And from that, I just, started bodybuilding. I've always been a part of fitness. I played football in high school, got recruited to play football in college, hurt my knee. And then I went into powerlifting, and then I did some modeling, believe it or not, in my younger days. And then I ended up, as a bodybuilder. So that's kind of my story. But it wasn't like, I was watching Pumping Iron and Arnold's body was so beautiful. No, man, I was like, well, I guess we need to sell some product. Let's figure this out.
That was the way it was. I like that. Take me back a bit though, like the initial days. Like when did you sort of realize like this was a thing? Because I've been in the gym for forever, right? I'm fit. I'm super fit. I run Ironmans and stuff, but I'm not big like you are. So when was that like a thing?
Well, I was always, in football, when I started lifting, I was a sophomore going into my junior year. And this is American football for those of you who use that other one where people flop and roll around. But no, we're talking American football. And, when I was a sophomore going into my junior year, I was a really small, undersized and not very strong. But I was strong-ish, but I never really paid attention to training. Then one day in the weight room in the off season, the coach said, his name was Coach Carroll, he said, in front of everybody, he's like, Lobliner, you're not going to play a lick until you lift. Then I realized that, man, I don't have the grades, nor, at that time we had affirmative action, so the UCs in California, literally if you're white or Asian, you're not getting into a UC. And I'm like, and that's not a political stance, just how it was. We just knew how it was. They were trying to get the ratios of black to Asian to white, and Asians and whites were like the school. So anyway, so I'm like, I need to figure out how to play a sport. And I played baseball. I was really good at baseball, but not good enough. But football is a sport where you can literally just get really strong, run as fast as you can, and hit somebody really hard, and you can be pretty good at it. So I figure I'll pick a sport where I don't really need to have a skill set and just get big and run into people. And that's when I started. And luckily for me, I started training. Another coach, and it was Coach Miles, and another player a year older than me, Leon Hatton, took me under their wing and kind of showed me the ropes. And I gained 70 pounds that off season. I went from 170 pounds, 240 pounds, a barely starter on JV to, one of the better linemen in the state of California. And literally, so nobody knew I was going to be good. And I didn't know I was going to be good. And then my junior year, I just kind of bounced out. And that's when I realized, well, my family can build muscle pretty good. My brother was also a natural pro bodybuilder. He's jacked. I think we just have the genetic propensity to build muscle. And my kids are wrestlers, football players. My daughter, she has all the state powerlifting records in Tennessee. There's a genetic component, but we would have never known that if we wouldn't have trained really hard.
Sure.
And so we unlocked that hidden, because my dad was just a dorky Jewish accountant and my mom was a 5'1" woman. So like nobody before me really, my grandfather was a boxer in Poland. So I guess he figured it out a little bit, but man, you don't know what genetic talents you have until you try, right?
For sure. No, that's a big one. I like that. So obviously sports in college. When did you sort of realize you wanted to be like terribly good at marketing? Because I read you studied marketing communication, right? When did that sort of
Yeah,
become a
yeah.
thing in your life?
So every football player, so my goal in high school was to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Because my mother was Jewish. I'm a Christian by practice. My mother was raised in Israel. So every Jewish mom, oh, my son's going to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I'm like, I got to be a lawyer. And then I found out how long you had to stay in school. And I'm like, well, that sucks. And so I went into college, and every football player goes into kinesiology or something sport related because, well, we like ball, we like playing, we like training. And then I had a meeting with my counselor, so I don't remember when, or a professor. They're like, yeah, the starting salary, you'll make like $24,000 a year. I'm like, well, that sucks. So at that time, my brother graduated college with a degree in marketing. And I'm like, well, if that dumbass can do it, so can I. So I went, that's why I went into marketing. But I've always been, you know, I'm very talkative. I'm very outgoing. And every time I get involved in a debate class in high school, or I'd have to present something, even though I wasn't the best student, I wasn't the worst. I was like a 3.3. And I was too focused on sports to really care about school. I always won the debate. I was always able to present. So for me, sales was an extension. And also, you know, from an immigrant background in America, immigrants are more likely to start businesses and figure it out. So my mother was very good at presenting, even though she had a very thick Polish accent, like she could sell. And I just think it's something that our family, it was kind of passed down that, you know, to get out in the world, you need to hustle. And marketing is simply, I look at marketing as the psychological aspect of selling shit, right? Like you're trying to get people to be moved by your product, by your offering. So marketing is a way to really get people emotionally invested to buy whatever service or good you're offering.
That way. I like that. How would you sort of say, like, okay, it's great. So you did that. It's obviously you built your businesses, which do pretty well, from what I've read. You did the bodybuilding thing. I read you did amateur boxing as well. Like, where did that fire? You sort of explain that from your mom's side or more your dad's side. How do you see that sort of growing up? Because your brother is sort of successful in his thing as well, right?
Yeah, my brother's very successful, very smart guy. So my dad worked for the U.S. government for 27 years, most loyal man you'll ever meet. He was a 9-to-5 guy. He was loyal, but he wasn't competitive. He just did his job. He did what he needed to do, and then he went home. And, but, you know, my mother did have a competitive streak, you know, before we kind of had a family issue around like 11, 12 years old where it all kind of fell apart. My dad was the baseball coach. My mom knew nothing about sports, but she was the assistant coach, which was wild because she had no idea how to play baseball or anything. And her entire mantra was hit the ball and run like hell. That was what she said, like hit the ball and run. That's all you need to know about baseball. None of the specifics. But yeah, I mean, she was very competitive, a former military, you know, just extremely alpha in her own right. So I'd say that was passed down from my mom. And I think my brother and I, just by competing, we don't do it anymore. We don't compete with each other. Like, we're too old. And my brother and I, one time, were at an arcade, and we kept winning. One would win, one in air hockey. And by the time we were done playing, the air hockey board is covered in blood because our pinkies were bleeding because the puck will hit your pinky once in a while. And so my brother and I really, you know, set the stage. Just, you know, even though he's 6 years older, like, we were always very competitive. And I just hate mediocrity. Nothing's more scary than being average. Being average is literally the thing that scares me the most in life. Like, just being normal, just an NPC. Nobody wants to be a non-playable character. Nobody wants to be that. So I always wanted to do special things. And to win in life, like, that's why I started a youth performance facility in Franklin, Tennessee. You know, sports are life. Like, life is about winning and losing. I learned that early in my career, that for me to get promoted, someone else had to get promoted. And for me to win that game, someone else has to lose that game. My son won it's his first time winning state in wrestling, my 12-year-old. I remember he won. He beat this kid. It was overtime, emotional win, and the other kid's crying. And my son, we're celebrating. I told the coach, and he's Brandon Bruner. I'm like, man, that is so sad. Like, that kid's sad. He's like, He just said it like this because he's been coaching wrestling long. He goes, well, somebody has to lose, just like that. And I'm like, it clicked. I'm like, for there to be triumph, there has to be adversity. And that's why every child should wrestle. Every child should play a team sport, because sports will teach you more about life than any of these useless fucking colleges.
That's big. Like the sort of the healthy competition part. I really like that. My sister, she's 3 years younger, I believe. She sort of outperforms me on the academic part, and I sort of outperform her on the sports, the athletic part, right? And then last year she was like, okay, like I run like triathlons and stuff. She's like, I'm gonna do an Ironman with you. She's a 19-year-old girl and she does an Ironman with me. She did it 3 weeks ago, so that's amazing, right? And so she lifts me up in the academic world. So that's sort of amazing. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's how are you sort of doing that with your kids right now? You're bringing that healthy competition into the family still?
Oh man, my son he's probably ranked first in the state this year for wrestling. My high schooler, he placed 4th last year. He's going to wrestling college. Like, you know, they see me every day. You know, I travel a lot, but you know, I'm home when it matters, and I'm home as much as I can be. And you know, with my children, you know, we always play to win, but we understand that you need to lose to learn. And so with my children, you know, we play to win. We train hard every day to beat the opponent. And I work hard every day to beat my competition. And that's something that's simply ingrained in them. That there's no reason why you can't be the one with your hand raised at the end of that match. There's no reason why you can't be the one who scores the game-winning touchdown. Why not? Why can't you be that guy? And my daughter's even more competitive than my son's. Like, she was a very high-level soccer player, decided not to play in college. You know, but she's also, you know, wrestling. She wrestled 1 year, snagged a regional championship. You know, like she didn't know how to wrestle, but she wanted to win. She just wanted to win so bad. And it's not a gender thing. Like, I raise all my children the same way. And whether you're a female or a male in the workplace, you're judged the same way. Do you get the job done? And are you special? Do you offer something that cannot be replaced? And that is that spirit that you learn from sport.
I like that. That's good, man. Take me back a bit, like to the sort of initial days of your business career, when you like put it on the line yourself. What was that like? Out of college, starting your businesses, obviously, to the level where they are today. More so those initial stages.
So I worked in corporate America for 4 years. Almost 5 years for American media. At that time I first worked for Weider Publications. They were acquired by American Media. Weider was the muscle magazines, Flex, Muscle Fitness Hers, Men's Fitness. And after I felt I topped out there, I got an offer to be a founding partner of Sylvester. I worked with Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, his supplement brand Instilled, launched that, got fired. I got fired after about 3 months. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing, the CEO didn't like me. That was literally the reason he gave me. He's like, well, you seem to be doing your job and people like you, but I don't like you. Those are the exact words he used to. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. And so anyway, so from that, this is why you'll never see me say I. Because if it wasn't for my wife, none of this would be possible. Like, my wife had a good job out of college. Like, she was a director of marketing in her early 20s, just crushing it. And after I got fired, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like I'm helping society at all. I don't feel like I'm doing anything altruistic, and I don't want to live a life that isn't helping society. So immediately I'm like, I'm gonna be a police officer, right? I'm gonna be a cop, because I can go help the world and be a good cop. And so I went in, I did all the research. My wife's family were cops. She's like, I don't want you being a cop. I'm like, well, why don't I start a business and actually help people reach their health and fitness goals? Why don't I do that? I think that's altruistic. I'm going to help people's health, help people lose weight, help people, prevent or mitigate some health problems like diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And at that time, she was making really good money, and we only lived off of one of our salaries. We're very cheap people. And meaning we don't buy things we don't need and can't afford. So she was like, oh, okay. So I started the business, and that was Civation. And that, right now right now Extend is owned by Nutrabolt, which is Cellucor. So that I sold that in 2011. just fast forward. But going back, you know, it sucked. Like, it really sucked. Starting a business sucks because I was on the road 300 days a year. I was literally, this is before we had GPS, like Google Maps. Like, I was just having to use MapQuest at the time. So I'd have like a stack this big, and I'd literally drive out for 3 weeks, visiting every account I could see, from gyms to stores, you name it. And then after 3 weeks, or I ran out of product in my Toyota Corolla, all I could stuff in there, I'd drive back home. And it was arduous. It was really, really, really hard. And a lot of people would have quit. And, you know, it struck me that I don't know why the hell I kept doing it. I felt that, you know, I had to give it a go. And, you know, it was a rough couple of years, but we finally hit a tipping point at like year 3 where it started to really, really move. So, you know, just adherence to the belief in yourself and the belief in what you're doing was what kept me going. But if it wasn't for my wife being able to support us, we would not be where we're at right now. And she ended up in, you know, about 2 years into the business, we had a child. Actually, it was 3 years. We had a child, and she decided to stay home and raise our children, which is I have conservative values. I don't care who that offends. And she's more conservative than me. At that time, I'm like, don't quit your job. I can't do this on my own. I'm like, there's daycare for a reason. And she's like, no, it's just the right thing to do. And she made the right choice, but her quitting her job is another catalyst in that it forced me to become a man and realize that I'm not just supporting myself right now. I got mouths to feed. Like, I'm supporting 2 other human beings. And so that really propelled me to just reach levels of success that I would have never predicted. Cause I don't rate myself too high on the, you know, awesome scale, but I'm not an egotist. I'm not a narcissist, but I'm like, you know what? It's either win or starve. And I wanted my kids to have the life they have now. And because of that resolve, they have that life now.
That's pretty good though, right? You get sort of fired from a job you like, and instead of going, okay, I'm just going to take whatever I can take, you sort of take the altruistic path instead, and you go hard as hard as you can on sort of helping people.
Oh yeah, and I want to thank John Arnold, that piece of shit. I want to thank him for firing me, because my whole career I've been trying to prove that asshole wrong to this day. And that's the thing. People say that operating from a viewpoint or a stance of revenge is a horror. Oh, hell no. Hell no. You ever hear, I don't know if you've watched Pumping Iron, but there's Mike Katz. He was a bodybuilder, and he had they had this scene in Pumping Iron. And I'm bringing back bodybuilding because Pumping Iron is a legendary video. And he goes, yeah, you know, I was a kid. They always picked on me. Hey, Jew boy, you know, you got rusty fenders on your bicycle and all that. And then he's like, I'll show them. And he's like, I went and ran around the track. And I always tell my kids to find something that pisses them off and just make that your focus. Like, you're trying to overcome that. Like my son, he got pinned. It was crazy. Like, his sophomore year, he was wrestling great. He ends up losing and not making it to the next level sectionals, because it goes regional, sectional, state. So he ended up not placing in regionals. And after that, he loses it. He's crying and he's having a fit. And I'm trying to console him, a couple other coaches. I'm like, hey, this never has to happen again, but here's what you have to do. And he bought in. He's training 5 hours a day last year, and he did it. He placed in state. He's a TSSAA placer. That is huge. But the year before, he's a nobody. But he willed it to win. Everybody has that ability to win. Everybody has that ability. They're just not willing to do what it takes. Oh, the man's holding me back. Shut up. I grew up poor with a drug addict mom and a friggin' dad who was sick. Don't give me that shit. No one's holding you back. I'm a first-generation American. What's holding you back is that thought that someone's holding you back.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that. On the bodybuilding stuff, I saw you post, I believe last week on presentation, right? Would you say what does bodybuilding sort of the role it plays today in your success, apart from the marketing side, like the way you present yourself, right? How big is that, do you believe?
Everyone needs to be in shit. You're doing it right, man. Like, so keep in mind, my brother I don't work in, my main job is not in the fitness industry. It's not. And my brother, for example, he's in digital marketing, right? He's selling to large companies like Dell. Well, they used to be big. He said, he's doing things like, let's say McDonald's, Best Buy. Let's look at those large corporations. My brother walks in, in shape, everything's right, his outfit's right, he's presenting himself. When you're selling something, you're not just selling the product, you're selling yourselves. And I tell my reps every single day, remember, you're an extension of the product. So if you go in disheveled, looking like shit, hair's not combed, beard's not trimmed, what do you think they're going to say about you? That's a reflection on your brand. That's a reflection on your company. So bodybuilding, for me, is simply a differentiator. That's it. In sales, it is a differentiator. Because I walk into a meeting, even last week, I'm in a meeting in a 3-piece suit with a large multi-billion-dollar corporation. But they knew I was fit. And you could tell because I walk in the room, posture's up, I'm not self-conscious about my appearance. I have everything right. Beard's trimmed, suit fits perfectly, tie is tied perfectly. I go in there and I have the confidence to crush my presentation. Because if you're not confident in yourself, how can you be confident in your messaging?
It's big. Makes sense. That's a good one. It's sort of the eternal battle with me. Like the cardio doesn't really get you big, right? So
yeah, but you're in shape. I mean, here's the thing. What country are you in?
Netherlands.
Okay. In America, we have over 70% of people here are overweight. Over 50% are obese. They say it's 40, but those stats are from 2017. If you're simply not fat, and also there's data, and I'm sure you've seen this data, that fit people are more likely to be hired. And that's why they came up with that whole fat phobia BS. It's just, it's not fat phobia. The thought that goes through, and I'm not saying I do this because I don't care. Can you do the job, right? When you're evaluating someone, you're in the interview process. If someone can't take care of themselves, how can you expect them to take care of your business?
Sure.
So again, it's all at the end of the day, we're all very advanced. We are just simply very advanced animals. The animal kingdom exists. The alpha exists. Biology exists. So when you have a fit man or woman, I'm not that dude who doesn't think that women can. The best CEOs I've worked with are female. I'll say that for the record. Okay? Some of the best. I don't want to shit on my male counterparts. But if you're a man or a woman and you walk in exuding confidence and exuding a sense of self-pride and awareness and self-control, then you're more likely to be taken seriously.
It's big. It's true. That's for sure. So take me through I was like, again, in my research, take me through the portfolio right now, because you have 2 supplement brands, right?
Yeah. So, well, it's hit or miss. So I'm president of a company called Ketone Labs. We are the IP holders and distributors of Go BHB, which is exogenous ketones. That's another podcast. I go into the benefits of those. Founding partner of Ambrosia. We have the #1 plant protein, which is called Ambrosia Planta. I own a company called MTS Nutrition, tigerfitness.com. I have a screen printing company for shirts called Birdman Creations. I have a lot of things going on. But you have 24 hours in the day. It's just a matter of how you use them. So
the job is mostly for you, like delegating, like managing operators?
No, I'm bad at delegating, believe it or not.
Okay.
I'm horrible at it. I do a lot. I don't have an assistant. Like when you message me on Instagram, that was me. That's not a bot. That's me. I handle everything myself. I'm horrible at delegating, but I do have a great group of people around me who do their jobs extremely well.
So how do you do that? Like on a day-to-day, like managing 4 or 5 companies, basically?
Well, I mean, one of it is time management, task management, making sure you get your main tasks for the day done. And I still have time to go watch my kid play football. I have time to, sit in a plane. And if I don't want to work, watch Netflix. I honestly don't understand what people do all day. It's actually, I don't believe this is still true, but they found that people who work 8 hours in an office only get about an hour and a half of work done.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're at work, be at work. When you're with your family, be with your family. It's pretty simple, but people just want to stand around and talk about, what Taylor Swift was wearing. And if, Jason Kelsey dropping all those passes yesterday, and nobody actually does their job. And not nobody, but a vast majority of people are simply killing time, pretending to be busy, not actually getting anything done. So if you simply do your job, not even exceptionally, if you simply just do your job, you're going to stand out. Bill Belichick, when he coached the New England Patriots, all he would tell his players is do your job. That was his advice. Just do your job. So if you're an offensive lineman, your job is to block your assignment. If you're a defensive lineman, your job is to control your gap. If you're a wide receiver, your job is to run your route correctly. So it's a pretty simple, and again, sports is everything. If you're in a company and your job is logistics, make sure logistics are right. If your job is a sales territory, make sure you handle that sales territory correctly. It's not that much different from coaching football, which I've done a lot.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your tasks for the day. You sort of have a process for that or a methodology for that? You like do
what?
X amount of things, like every single day, do 5 things or something, or you just do whatever needs to get done. That's sort of the...
No, I have a list in front of me and I just go. And then I'll usually have, the issue is calls. Like, I'll be on a call with a colleague or with a customer, and that could take 30 minutes, that could take 15 minutes, that could take an hour and a half. Board meetings, things like that. So you just got to find time to get it done. You got to find time to go at it. And yeah, there is a level of importance. Like if I have for example, $1 billion project, it's probably going to take precedent over a $5,000 project. But, and I'm being real with those numbers. Those numbers exist in my day to day. So, you obviously, but also you need to understand the 5,000 could become $1 billion. So sure. Don't neglect treat everybody the same. That's another thing, whether it's the janitor or the CEO. If I walk into a meeting, I'm treating the receptionist the same way I treat the CEO. I'm treating the guy cleaning the bathroom the same as I treat the CEO. And I think a lot of people tend to overlook that, is that the world is all about relationships.
It is, right? And I sort of burned myself on that in the past, and now it's also like fun, just treating people right. It's not even for yourself, just treating people with respect that don't usually get treated that way is a pretty cool thing on itself.
Just do it to random people too, right?
Yeah. Like,
I'll randomly just throw out a compliment to just somebody, whether it's a clerk at a grocery store, just strike up a conversation. Yeah. And because a lot of times their day is just filled with people mad that their coupon didn't work. Like you can literally make someone's day great just by saying one thing that costs you no money. It costs you 10 seconds. And yet, people tend to overlook the humanity of the world, and that sometimes people just want to be loved. Sometimes people just want to feel like they belong, like they're special. And I think we overlook that. So, relationships are a key part of life as a human being and a key part of life as a business owner.
Yeah. It's so big. Like you have so much power as just like a random stranger to like compliment people. Like probably the last 5 years, I can remember all the different times like a stranger complimented me. Like that's like huge. So if you can do that, make that a practice. Yeah.
I'll get the random, like that's where being a bodybuilder is kind of cool sometimes.
Sure.
Like where was I? I was my wife and my 12-year-old the other day, and this guy, he goes, dude, you're fucking jacked. And I'm like, well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's like, my son thinks it's cool. My wife thinks it's weird. Like it's the normal, but that's another thing. Like if you're in shape, people, I've been with, I've hung out with people who are just like you, just in shape, and people will be like, wow, you're fit. That's awesome. So like, again, like it doesn't cost anything to eat less food, to eat a good amount of, like it doesn't. It costs more to eat junk food than it does good food. If you know how to get good food, like, trust me, I'm cheap. I'm the cheapest man you've ever met. and I'm telling you this because I've done the math. Like going to fast food costs you more than cooking nice meals at home. And then it might cost you a gym membership, but you could train at home if you have to. But again, like you're also putting years on your life. You're more productive. It's going to pay off. That doesn't cost you anything to have that. And also builds discipline. I mean, it's so much from just being healthy and in shape. Just, it's going to go so far for you.
That the relationships, like if you train with someone else, like the camaraderie you create, yeah, it's major. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, on the business side, I want to pick your brain on this because this is sort of big, right? All these supplement brands, you manage a couple. What sort of differentiates the successful ones from those that don't? Because there are a lot of them out there, like a serious amount.
There are ways to differentiate, right? Like you differentiate by product, you differentiate by brand. One thing I've seen is the days of the mega brands are over, in that it's more product based. If you go on Amazon, you look at the top categories, the top sellers per category. It's usually a product that only does that category. So one thing I've realized is that moving forward with, if I'm starting a new brand, it's going to be, branded towards, each brand has its own life, has its own look. Like remember back in the day, you'd have like Muscle Tech and EAS. And I don't think, now there are still some that are doing very well and crushing it. But I think the wave of the future is being an expert at your brand and focusing on that one category. And you could do that with multiple products. But to put it under one brand umbrella for the look, I think is kind of shortchanging yourself. It comes down to a lot of things. It comes down to promotion. It comes down to ingredients. It comes down to who's promoting your product. We're in a day of influencer marketing. So, if let's say, for example, Chris Bumstead, right? Like the brand's doing well. They have a great spokesperson, but they've also created some really good products. So I think the days, and it still happens, but I think the days of creating a really shitty product and people just buying it for the athlete, I think those days are essentially over. And I think that we're going to see a time where brands have to back up what they claim. And we're seeing that a lot because it costs any upwards of $80+ in most cases I've seen for customer acquisition, to acquire a new customer, whereas keeping a customer is much less expensive. So you get the customer because Chris Bumstead says this protein tastes good, but now you got to get them to buy. So then you got to get them to subscribe to the product where you get a delivery every month. And subscriptions, they increase your multiple when you sell your company exponentially. So there's so much to it. Like this could be a 2-hour long conversation, but essentially you have to find your market position and you have to promote it. And then you have to back it with a product that actually works, because you will get that first time sale, but then your bottom line will be shit and no one's going to want to buy you anyway.
That is major. That $80 acquisition cost, how did that change the last couple of years from what you've seen? It exploded like as the market went up? Because that's sort of funny, right?
Because it's more expensive because to bid on keywords is much more expensive a lot of the time.
Just in general, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gotten much more expensive to advertise on Google, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. X is doing this great advertising program now. You have X, you have TikTok Shop, which is growing. I still think Amazon is the pinnacle of all sales channels. And direct to consumer is awesome because you get to keep the money and because you own the customer name, you own that email list. So again, I love Amazon and D2C. Those are the two channels that I truly love.
I like that. That's good, man. Okay. So you get a customer, right? I'm just talking from like a startup point of view, right? How do you sort of create a product that stands the test of time? Like, okay, it got to be good, but sort of can you dive into that, like from your perspective?
Into what?
Into like what makes a good supplement product, apart from obviously quality.
Well, it's highly individual what you feel is a good supplement, right? So I would say number one, if you have a flavored product, taste over ingredients nowadays. People don't want to choke down bad tasting stuff. So if your ingredients are, let's say 90% there, but your taste is amazing, then yeah. Like people always argue natural versus artificial sweeteners. My opinion is unless you can make it taste just as good with natural sweeteners, use sucralose. Because again, I've done these tests. I've had these products. I've had natural flavored, and I've had naturally sweetened, and I've had artificially flavored and sweetened. And the good tasting one will always outsell the healthier one. Because it's again, you're looking at a society with a 70% overweight rate. People are looking to just make a better choice, not the best choice. So you might be giving up on that 2% of people who really, really care about every little ingredient and seed oils and artificial this and that, where most people just want to eat something other than a Snickers bar. As for pill products, comes down to what they're getting from it. Does it have the data and the claims, and does it have ingredients I can look up on ChatGPT or Google that'll actually help me with my health? If it's an energy product, do I feel it? Does it taste good? So there's so many different avenues of what is a good product, because there's many different categories and deliveries. You got energy drinks, like this one's Reaction Energy. It uses the Go BHB in it. You have shots like this Correct Fuel right here. You have protein powders like my MTS Nutrition Machine Whey. You have pre-workouts like Clash. Like, they all have a different intended use. So it's hard to say what makes them all tick, because it's very category specific.
Yeah. The biopsychology part is fun of it too, right? Because I subscribed to, or I got like a sample pack of AG1. I don't know if you know it. It's like a $90 a month supplement. It's pretty expensive. But I tasted it and it tastes sort of terrible. But I was like, I really thought about it. Maybe this is like a good thing, right? You don't want it. It's it's advertised like a healthy thing. You don't want it to be tasting too good. Sort of a fun dichotomy in that sense. I don't know. It's fun something to think about.
Sometimes your marketing is so good, it just doesn't matter. I stole their email funnel. Their email funnel was so good that someone did an Instagram about like, here's their email funnel. And I'm like, I sent it to my email guys. I'm like, do this for this product. Like, do this now. I don't care how much it costs. And sure as shit, that email funnel worked.
What did they do?
I mean,
what was it?
It's a 7-stage email funnel, and just different level sales of the acquisition phase, different levels of it. And
so like segmentation?
Yeah. Okay. So, you get them first time. It's like, hey, here's one message. Second time, here's another message. Third time, let's say you say, okay, this costs X a day. This is compared. So yeah, it's $90, but it's still less than buying a bunch of produce from the grocery store. So, that's basically each email is set to, either make a claim or handle an objection. They're brilliant. They're brilliant people.
Yeah, no, they are. So I was like, yeah, maybe it works because it is a bad tasting product. But
no, there's no reason to have a product. There's honestly, with flavor technology nowadays, there's really no reason to have a shitty tasting product.
So it's by design, you think, that it tastes the way it does?
Or, again, I don't know. I'm guessing, and this is not directed at AG1 because I respect the hell out of those guys. Or good flavor costs a lot of money. Maybe they just wanted to have less cost for their products so they can make more money on it in the margin side. That's, again, I'm not saying that's their reason, but that's another reason why some products taste like shit, because it costs a lot for some of these flavor systems.
I like that. That's fun, man. Ranked as one of the top CMOs a couple years back.
Yeah.
How do you look at that? Does it like mean anything when like awards like that get awarded, or?
Fuck yeah, it does. I got my number 116 on the Inc. 500 right there on my wall.
Okay, there we go.
Hell yeah, it does. Yeah, makes me feel good as hell, man. I'm not, I'm just trying to feed my family, dude. I mean,
sure.
And I'm trying to put out good products that help people. If you're what is it? If you're chasing the dollar, you'll be forever broke. I don't chase dollars. And there's a good friend of mine, a partner of mine. He has so much money. Like, he's extremely wealthy, and he's the greatest guy you'll ever meet, right? And this guy is 60 years old, and he works harder than anyone I've ever met. I travel with him all the time. And we're sitting there, and he's like, I have so much time left. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? He goes, yeah. He's like, Trump is 79 years old, and he's still out there running a country. He's like, I'm only 60. I still got another 30 years. To the real successful people, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the process. It's about the challenge. It's about the passion. It's about the mission. For example, let's say he's selling Go BHB, which is going to be transformative to the world. It's literally, it's going to be used by the NFL and concussion protocol. It's something that literally powers your mitochondria. It helps with weight management. It helps with kidney health, liver health, heart health, and it gives you energy in lieu of caffeine or with caffeine. And it's an amazing supplement. So waking up every day, I'm just using that as an example, waking up every day, knowing that you could be transformative to the health of the free world. That is a mission. That's not like, hey man, I got to go get the bag. You know, there's no purpose in making money. Money is a byproduct of following a passion. Now, some people chase money and do it very well. Most people I know who chase money are just perpetually broke. And their life's not fulfilled and they're not happy people.
So what is it about then?
What is it about them?
No, what is it about then?
It's about having a why. It's about having a purpose. Whether your purpose is to feed your family, whether your purpose is to make money so that you can, you know, give back to charity and help the world, you know, there has to be a why, you know, or whether your purpose is just to be the best at what you do. But when you're just like, I need to make $10 or I need to make $1 million, that's a horrible goal. You need to focus on the process to make $1 million and set those goals. The money will follow. But when you actually go with your money as the main goal, again, it's been done, but I've met a lot of really rich people and they're not about the dollar. They like their money, they make the money, but they're always about the process.
It's their version of their game, right? Yeah.
Well, do you love what you do? What gets you? Look, I can't wake up in the morning every day passionate about money. I mean, it's good. Money's nice, right? Like every Sunday I take my family and we get froyo and we get frozen yogurt with toppings. And for me, the idea of the best life ever is going to the grocery store and not worrying about having a budget. That's all I ever wanted in life. The rest, you're not going to see me driving a Lambo or, you know, I'm not that guy. You know, it's just that stuff doesn't get me going. The fact that my daughter can graduate college without debt, that's what makes me happy, is passing on to your next generation, leaving a legacy. And you need to think of things as, what is your legacy? No one's going to remember me for the car I drove or how big my house was. They remember me from the actions I do as a human being. They're not going to remember that. They're not gonna be like, wow, that guy was really rich. And then do you want to be remembered as that? Like, wow, he's the rich guy. What did he do? I don't know. He had money though. Nobody cares. Like, what's your legacy?
Yeah. You have a legacy at Carbon, right? What is legacy to you? Can you explain that?
So legacy is a youth performance facility. And I told you earlier about the football coach who took me in. So I'm not lying. If Coach Miles didn't take me under his wing and do what he did, I wouldn't be here right now. Meaning not just here, I'd probably be dead. But coaches, you know, you can't see it in the frame, but it says a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. So a lot of these kids, you know, we have a couple guys in the NFL. We have a lot of people in D1 through D3 in a college, hundreds of people. But most of these kids aren't going to play past high school. But the lessons they learn on that field will help make them better human beings in life, more successful, more appreciative of what they get, more appreciative of what they earn. They will understand the competitive nature of life, and that's what we do. And there's a saying in boxing, train hard, fight easy. And I always look at it that way. If you truly buy into the meritocracy of sports, you understand the meritocracy of life.
Explain that.
Well, meritocracy is simply that you earn it, you win it, and it's based on merit. And in sports, if you don't win, you don't get the trophy. That's life. If you don't win, like for me to get number 116 in the Inc. 500, I had to beat out, again, don't don't ask me to do math here. I had to beat out over 450 people, or like 400 people, whatever, 350 people, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like someone has to win, someone has to lose, and that's sports and that's life. And then you take every loss as a learning lesson.
That's good. On that, like, what's sort of in your position, what's sort of the equivalent of throwing free throws? Like, how do you become the number one in that sense? Like
In what?
the basketball guys, they can throw free throws all day, right? As a CMO, as a business leader, what's sort of your equivalent to that? Just doing it? What's the
Well, I mean,
what's the difference between you and the number two guy? Let's put it that way.
well, the difference can be offering, right? The difference can be how much time I put in. But realize the more hours practice, the more likely you are to win. There's a book called Talent is Overrated that we were just talking about today on our sales call. You know, it's talent has not been proven in science. And we know talent exists. I'm not saying that, you know, LeBron James wasn't born with a certain gift. But if you look at the winners, it comes down to hours practiced. And it's demonstrably so in data. So one reason I probably beat the other guys is I had a better execution and I had a better idea. And how did I get that? Reps. Most business owners fail. Dave Ramsey, who's a famous guy, lives right down the road from me in Franklin, Tennessee. You know, he went bankrupt. He made a lot of money and he lost it. And I think, you know, just having those reps and be like right now, it's much easier for me to start a business than it was in 2004. So it comes down to reps and the free throws. How do you get better at free throws? You shoot free throws. You shoot a lot of free throws. And you know, you have guys, I'm trying to think of the wide receiver, but let's say Jerry Rice. Okay, I'm thinking of Julian Edelman too from the Patriots. Jerry Rice used to be out 2 hours before everybody else on the field, just catching balls from the jugs machine. Poof, poof, poof. Having someone feed him balls. Boom, boom, pack, boom, boom. Where by the time he got to the game, catching the ball was just second nature.
Right.
And that's reps. So just like weight training, just like hockey, just like golfing, just like free throws, it comes down to reps. And a good friend of mine, Chris Gethin, says knowledge without mileage is bullshit. And he's right.
I like it. That's good, man. What's sort of the vision for the brands you manage in the next, say, 10, 20 years? What do you want to do? Apart from your personal success?
I would love to sell them in the next 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
Again, like you have to, you know, I'm not trying to build a family legacy brand. I'd like to build it to a certain level and then exit and either start something new or, you know, up until recently, my goal in the next couple of years was to quit everything and exit everything and coach sports and coach football. You know, that's what I think I was put on earth to do, is to coach as many kids as possible and help them as much as possible, to give back. Because that's what got me to where I'm at. Was there was a certain football coach who happened to be a reverend who really showed me the way of how to be a man and how to conduct myself and got me out of the situation I was in. So yeah, but really, I mean, it depends on the life cycle of the company. I would like to say in the next 5 to 10 years, who knows? But it just depends. There's a lot of things that can happen. Economic variables, you know, and what if a brand is at 50 million and we think we could take it to 150 million? We have a plan to do that. And we're willing to, you know, put in the money and the time to do that. And that's something that we'll figure out when we get there. But every company should have an exit plan. When you start a business, figure out your exit plan. Because I had a CPA, his name's David Pope, who told me, he's like, you always need an exit plan. And he's smart, so I listened to him. So every company I have has an exit plan.
You think that'll work for you? Like just coaching football all day? I mean, it's not just coaching football. Obviously, it's a big thing. But you think that'll make sense in your mind when you're out of the businesses?
I don't know. I'll always be working doing something, but that doesn't mean I can't consult. That doesn't mean I can't have ownership and do other things. I'm young. Like I said, when a partner of mine was like, 60 years old, and he's like, wait till I'm not even 70 yet. You know, I'm 44. I turned 45 in November. Like, God willing, I still have a lot of years left. You know, I want to see my kids graduate college. I want to see them start families. I want to see them succeed. I want to coach my grandkids. I want to coach football. They're going to play. If we have a grandson, that motherfucker's playing football. I already told my kids they could do anything they want as long as they play football. So again, it's like, I want to be a part of that. So life is weird where you have plans, but sometimes you don't do those exact plans. And that's the beauty of life, is that you can pivot. And that's one of the reasons having a smaller brand is advantageous, because you could pivot faster than the bigger brands. So I'll pivot where need be, but my focus right now is on, you know, obviously being, you know, someone who believes in God, someone who takes care of his family, his wife and his children, and someone who does his best to uplift and grow his companies.
Thanks for listening to the Quinn Podcast. If you enjoyed it, you can go to quinnpodcast.com to check out all of the previous episodes. quinnpodcast.com.